Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, fan of various aspects of Japanese music and culture, including dance vocal band Atarashii Gakko. I'm going back a little to before the last album came out, about 3 months, to when they released this song with Sheena Ringo. I'll talk a little about who that is and what the song is in a second, but best thing to do is just dive in. This is a treat.
決めたいのでも決めないの私今少年バカ胸少しも損ないたくないもん上げ続けるわ自分の時間
Wow, such a great start. I love the feel of this right from the outset. It's a very 60s, 70s funk blues sound. The combination of that fuzzy guitar and the Wurlitzer type keyboard, and it feels sort of stripped down and raw. And obviously that's what we're going for here. Sheena Ringo, who is... she's been around for 25 years in Japan and has dabbled in various sort of musical forms. But, she's a pop icon. And she's working with Atarashii Gakko here. Obviously, this is primarily a Suzuka-centered song, though the whole band is there. They're credited as vocalists. Sheena Ringo wrote the song, but they're credited as vocalists, though, as I say, it's primarily Suzuka. And the song is called Dora Dokuso. The English alphabetic translation is FRDP, which stands for First Round Draft Pick. So it's a song that's using an extended baseball metaphor to talk about somebody at the beginning of their career. Obviously, we're talking about art rather than baseball, but baseball is the running metaphor throughout the song lyrically, particularly in the choreography.
やりきってでも物足んない私いつ完成する予定理想肩かけりゃそりゃ純度図は低めよか真顔の素顔返す返すの妥当な作戦尖った神経の切っ先冷たいもっとささくれが足してあっという間いつ死ぬかもしれないまぼっとしてたいです
Man, I love the new Atarashii Gakko stuff off the new album. The song is like 3 months old at this point, but I love the sort of reversion to some of that jazzier, rockier sound from their early days. Sheena Ringo was part of the group, the lead singer for the group Tokyo Jihen in the late 90s, early 2000s. And one of the members of that band was, at least intermittently, was HZM, who was this jazz keyboardist who was this musical mastermind and primary influence for most of Atarashii Gakko's first 2 albums. They recently re-performed with him last year in Tokyo. So that feel of this, as I say, she wrote the song, but it's clearly dipping into that raw... it sounds almost like Glim Spanky, that has that really sort of 70s analog vibe to it. Why? I think this is part of a series of collaborations that Sheena Ringo has done on her most recent album, which involves her co-performing with divas, with other strong female vocalists. And there's a running theme throughout the album about what it is to be one of those, and I think that's what we're getting here. So, as I say, the baseball imagery is a surrogate for the idea of somebody at the top of their game at the beginning of their game, right? And lyrically, that's what a lot of the song is being driven by, this sense of the urgency of the moment, of being young and keen to get on with it and to go as fast as you can and do as much as you can before you sort of run out of energy. I'm going to rewind a little bit because I missed the words that came up on the screen. Oh, okay, baseball terms. So double steal, triple steal. So we see knuckleball, we see hit, we see a number of other sort of baseball terms that are being thrown out. Okay, but then we get this shift, right? Agape, libido. Agape is, you can translate it in a number of different ways from the ancient Greek into sort of biblical use, meaning like a love feast, or it's connected to a meal sometimes, but it's about love, it's about friendship, both intimate and selfless, right? Sometimes connected to self-sacrifice. And then on the other hand, we've got libido, which obviously is about desire. So part of what I like about this particular collaboration is that I think it's evocative of, in some ways, is a counterpoint to or a parallel to Otonnaburu, which obviously was their big single that broke out last year. It's older than last year, but it really sort of took off last year. And that's a song about adolescents wanting to be adults, specifically in terms of romance and sexuality and so on. And it's playful and it's goofy and it's wanting to sort of have its cake and eat it too, right? Being conscious of one's youth and inexperience, even as we're anticipating things that are adult. And I think there's something similar going on here, right? That we're balancing some of the concerns of being young and at the beginning of one's career, right? And so this notions of these are competing notions of love, right? One of them is sort of selfless, charitable, and the other is desire driven and romantic or sexual. And let's just acknowledge the fact that this is an Atarashii Gakko song, that the whole group is involved and that they're playing support, right? I mean, this is part of the baseball metaphor as well. Baseball often comes down to pitcher against batter, but there's more to it than that. And that pitcher against batter is the way that we see it in the video. But of course, it's a team sport. And so I think Atarashii Gakko here are being a team, and we get that sense that everybody's involved. And when Sheena Ringo is not singing, she becomes basically Suzuka's surrogate in the foursome doing the dance. You know, sometimes I think people complain about the extent to which Suzuka has become the sort of front person of the band, but that voice is really hard to beat. And everybody in the group can sing. They're terrific. But their voices have different characteristics, different qualities. It makes perfect sense that she's doing the lead on a song like this, which is so sort of soulful and earthy, and it's coming from somewhere deep and powerful, right? That's what she lends. It's one of the first things that I loved about this band, that there's something deceptive. You see them and they think, oh, you know, they're dressed like schoolgirls and they're being playful and what have you. And then you hear that voice and it's like, there's so much more going on. It's so much richer and weightier than that. And it has real feeling and real emotional drive behind it. I love it. Oh man, I love this little middle eight where we actually go into the ballpark and we get to see, you know, with the rain, which is reminiscent of Atarashii Gakko's first single, you know, Dokubana, which is again one of the things that I first fell in love with about these guys is that for all the playfulness and frivolity, there's weight to it, and there's an extra level of personal investment, grief, loss, and those kind of things. But here it's simply, that the aesthetic that we're trying to capture a whole range of youthful experience, right? Both as the hypothetical baseball players, but also as artists and as young people trying to make the most of their moment and grab hold of it with both hands and commit to it. I also love the fact that rawness of the sound, when we see her imaginary thrashing away on the guitar, which I don't have a problem with. I saw some fans getting upset about she's miming to a guitar. Okay, it's a music video. It's not real. But I love that the fact that the sound can be stripped down. It's bass and drums and that really fuzzy guitar and the keyboard, and really that's it, plus the voices, and there may be extra musical tweaking and background. There's a tambourine, I think, in there as well, a couple of other things, but it's a very simply produced song in many ways because it's trying to capture the rawness of the urgency and the simplicity of these very basic impulses and desires. I can just say it's comparatively rare for Atarashii Gakko to do that kind of close harmony with simply two voices, just like a third apart, where at full volume, not where one is a backing vocal, but when they're sort of both on the front like that. I think that the sound is terrific. It gets that sense of connection between two stars, which is what ultimately the song is supposed to be, and what the whole album, I think, is supposed to be. People finding continuity through their own individual struggle as artists, female artists. Oh, that said Eros Thanatos. I was talking about different kinds of love earlier, and if we're talking about sort of youthful impulse, Eros obviously being the impulse to erotic love. Thanatos is death, right? So, these are the things that haunt your adolescence and your youth, the idea of those desires that drive you forward, but also the urgency of those things, because there's always that sense that you are running out of time. That part of what being a young adult is the recognition that childhood doesn't last forever and that we are all mortal. And so, and I think, again, lyrically, this is very much present in the song, the desire to grab hold of and ride the impulse that you have right now, even if it's going to sort of burn you out. But I think, as Sheena Ringo's presence in the song suggests, you can pursue those impulses and still be around in 25 years, still sort of burning the candle at both ends. You don't have to be the artist who flames out early because they pour everything into it. If you hit your stride quickly and you stick to it, you can keep going. And there's something really cool about that.
怖いのはたった今抱いてる if さえなくすことでしょうか中途半端なまんま去るのはごめんそう緊張してたいんです早いと極限点へ行きたい狂気旅で果てさしてずっと最高自動し続けるそう上層してたいんですどうしよう世界がしたわし
So good. I love the way that quiet part that Sheena Ringo takes the lead on sets up that big heavy finish, and the way we sort of step up a key and it lifts the intensity of the song and lets us really sort of bear down on that end, and then follow it through all the way to the finish and then just cut and stop. Great song. As I said, I'm a fan of the new album, but I want to hear them do more of this stuff as well. I don't want them to go entirely into pop and hip hop, because they do this so well, and I want to keep these sounds around. And that's it. Love this stuff. Okay, as ever, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out my books. Check out my Patreon page. Thank you to my patrons who make this channel possible. And if you have songs that you particularly want me to talk about, let me know. I had a number of things that I was going to talk about in a single video, but for one reason or another, I thought it was better to do them separately. So I have another couple of songs that I'm going to touch in from other bands over the next few weeks. All right, cheers, thanks, bye.